can the iPhone 14 Pro keep up with a full frame camera? So if you follow this channel, you know that I am a car photographer. That's what we do here. So we're obviously at a car meet, we're at a JDM meet. So I'm gonna take photos as I normally would on my actual camera, and then as soon as I've taken that photo, I'm gonna take my phone out and take the exact same picture, matching up the focal lengths as well. So we'll do some wide shots, and then we'll do some zoom shots as well. And then once all that's done, we'll head back to the desk and we'll check them out with the edits on and see if you can even tell the difference. Is this yours?
Yeah.
There's a little section over there if you want a little photo shoot.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah? Let's do it. So the reason everyone is going crazy about this phone is because it can now shoot RAW. So obviously on our cameras, we can shoot RAW. There's a load of data in that file. They're bigger files, and you can play around with the shadows and the highlights a lot more in editing, whereas normally on a phone, you can only shoot JPEGs. So you take the picture and that's kind of what it looks like. You can't manipulate it that much afterwards in post. But now with the Apple Pro RAW, I think it's called, it allows you to do that now. So we're really gonna be able to get a nice comparison. I've turned it on now. I don't know what it looks like yet, but I think they're gonna be about 20 megabytes probably per file, and we'll see what we can pull out of this later in Lightroom. Right, so lenses, we are working with a 13mm camera, and it's like a macro super wide lens, and then you've got a 48mm lens, and then you've got a 77mm lens. I hope that's right. If it's not, I'll put the right ones up on the screen. But that just makes this thing really, really versatile. You can get these super wide interior shots, but then you can also get those mid-range shots, and then you can also get those super zoom shots. So we'll match those focal lengths up with the camera. So I've only got 16mm on the camera, so I'll bump this up to 16mm, and then I've only got a 24mm is like the mid-range I've got on here, so I'll go to 24mm on this. We won't do 48mm, who's shooting 48mm, and then I'll go up to 77 on this, and then I'll use the 85mm that I've got on my camera, and that'll be a close enough comparison of that super zoom effect. Do you mind if I open the door to get the steering wheel? So I just realized something else which actually impressed me a lot, is that you can actually choose the f-stop on this phone if you go to portrait mode, and you can go all the way down to f1.4 to get that completely blurry background, and then you can bump it all the way up to f16. So it's the fact that you can actually change the f-stop in this camera, like it's literally like shooting manual on a full frame camera, and you can do it in your phone. That's kind of crazy. So we're going to try and get some f1.4 shots as well, so we can compare them later and see if it can make that nice creamy background and make it look realistic. Have you got an Instagram by any chance? But yeah, I appreciate that. Okay, no. It's always good to get some free content for myself to use, and then some free photos for you. Okay. As you can tell, I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna give too much away, but yeah, this thing surprised me. Could this be the new beginner camera to get? I don't know. I'll let you decide. So let's head back into Lightroom and let's put these photos head to head and see if you can tell the difference between an iPhone 14 Pro and a full frame camera. Crazy, crazy, crazy. So how this is gonna work is we're gonna be looking for the iPhone shot. So I'm gonna label the photos A and B, and you're gonna choose which one is the iPhone shot, and then I will reveal the answers. And what I want you to do is remember your answers A or B and write them honestly in the comments down below so we can see if you actually got it right. Don't lie, put what you actually put, because you might be fooled, because these are pretty close. So we are gonna start off with the zoom shot, the 85mm shot, A or B. Which one is the iPhone? This is actually a really hard decision. This is like really, really close, but the answer is A. That is the iPhone shot. That's just crazy though, isn't it? Like, that is so close to the actual camera. Like, there's not much difference there at all. There's a little bit more crisp detail on the paint if you really look closely on the B shot, on the actual A7III with the 85mm, but that iPhone shot is keeping up perfectly. Like, you wouldn't even know the difference. If only if you're really looking. If you just scroll for Instagram, you would not know the difference between that. Don't lie to me. Right, next up, we're going to the 24mm shot. So, you've got A or B. Which one is it? Drum roll. It is A. The iPhone shot is A. And this one's a weird one. There's a little bit more of a tell difference in this. You can sort of see the richness of the camera compared to the, it's almost like I don't know what it is, but the iPhone shots, when it gets wider and wider, it just loses that texture and that depth. You can really tell it is an iPhone shot, but it's still very close. If you edited this a bit more in a certain way where it was a bit darker and you couldn't see all those little freckles and spots on the brickwork, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. So I still think this is quite close, but I think that one was a little bit easier to tell the difference where the camera really came through on that one. Now we're onto the wide shot. The full 16mm, I mean the iPhone can go to 13mm, but I could only go to 16mm on this camera, so that's why we did it. Here's the two pictures, A or B. This is quite close as well. I know obviously which one it is. It is A. That is the iPhone shot. It's not bad. The one thing that I can see is just all of like the grass and the brickwork. You can almost, it distorts it a little bit, and then you can just see it just looks like a lot lighter. I can't think of the word, but the actual camera just has a lot more texture in the actual, like the grass and the wood and the concrete just has that little, it just looks a little bit more realistic, but it is still very close. As again, with an edit you wouldn't notice this, but yeah, I can't think of the word. The next one I'm going to show you, you'll really understand what I mean. Actually, I'll show you a quick one now. Let's just look at this shot of the interior of the iPhone and then the interior of the camera. You just see the material, like the chairs and the steering wheel and the leather just looks a lot more real and rich and more expensive than the iPhone. The iPhone makes it look cheap almost and like plasticky and not real to what you actually see. I think that's the word I'm going for. It's a weird one. I can't figure it out, but that's what the iPhone lacks compared to the camera. Obviously, there's an £1,000 piece of glass on the end. I don't know how much each one of these lenses are, but there's definitely a lot more quality going into this than this. Now, if you remember early on in the video, I said that you can actually control the f-stop on the iPhone, which I didn't realize you could do if you put it into portrait mode. So we whacked it all the way down to f1.4, and then I did the same thing on my camera. We got a nice zoom shot of this steering wheel. Which one is the iPhone? I think you'd be surprised. It is B. B is the iPhone, which I was like, when I took it, I was like, oh, that's actually like the same as it would be on my camera. Like the background blur, the sharpness of the actual steering wheel itself, and that now the quality's come through. So when you go wide on the iPhone, you lose the quality of the texture. But now if you look at the leather and the actual texture of that steering wheel, it's there. You can see it. That looks like high quality lens, like high quality glass that's been taken on a camera. That is perfect f1.4 shot on the iPhone. I actually think the 85mm looks worse. Like the actual camera, actually, I mean, it could have just been me. I could have just taken a bad photo, but I still think this looks better than that, to be honest. So with all of that done, we can now answer the question for myself. Can the iPhone 14 Pro keep up with a full frame camera? No, it can't. But I think we all knew there was going to be a but. Is it the new beginner photography camera that I would recommend to people? Probably. For people that don't want to commit to a camera yet, they just want to learn the basics. Let's be honest, you're paying like £30 a month for a phone contract anyway. An extra 20 quid a month just to get this phone, to have that sort of quality camera and get those sort of images, just to practice positioning, practice lighting, just start photography sooner without committing to a camera. Yeah, 100% I'd recommend this, because the shots that I just got would easily compete on an Instagram feed that you're just scrolling through. People wouldn't even notice the difference half the time. So yeah, I do think it's very good, and I do think it held its own, but you just can't beat a massive sensor and a massive piece of glass on the end of this with all that quality and that crisp sharpness that a prime lens gives. Compared to these little cameras on here, it's never really going to compete. They can always try, but they're never going to match it, let's be honest. But they're getting pretty close with some angles, and yeah, you can fool a couple of people. So that has settled the argument for me. The iPhone can't keep up with a full frame camera. If you disagree, or if you have any other opinions, let me know in the comments, and also put your A or B, what you got in that score that we did that little test, the actual honest answers in the comments, so I can see if you were actually fooled by this little iPhone 14 Pro Max. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully that helped you out, maybe made up your mind, or just enjoyed seeing if it could keep up. But that is all. Subscribe. Photography car content coming your way 3 times a week, every week. I'll see you in a bit.